2 of the National Football League is in the books and might be labeled as the week of the comeback, as there was a lot of games where there was some late fourth quarter comebacks, or at least attempted comebacks. Welcome to the Brothers Chatter, first midweek episode where we talk, kind of recap the week in football. Uh, I'm your man, Pops, and my brother from the same mother, Danny G.
That's right. The
Just
better
two of us.
looking one. The good looking one.
You're right. You're right.
Anyway.
Just two of us today, but hopefully we'll have three of us for this next time. But,
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe Ethan will show up. Get beefy up in here. He tastes up more of the camera,
and
so I like this. It has two. It's nice.
it is kind of nice.
Nice but big. Anyway.
But no, football's a sport that all of us are heavily into. We thought we would jump into that with this wonderful football season. So first things first, we're gonna jump into a little bit late, but last week's first game of week 2, the Thursday night football game. Basically, after a week 1 scoring fest, the Kansas City Chiefs kind of came back to reality, but still held on for the win. Mahomes' composure under pressure has been in question lately, and if you pay attention, you can see where sometimes he struggles to kind of get the offensive line where they need to be to pick up the blitz. But Justin Herbert shined, although it wasn't enough to overcome the experience in the Kansas City Chiefs players and coaching.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
Chargers. I was excited for this game. I think these are two of the teams that are going to go the distance in the playoffs. I mean, Chiefs obviously have more of the playoff experience, but I like this Chargers team, man. And even as a Broncos fan, out of in the AFC West, man, that's a tough division. I hate to say it, but I like the Chargers team. I think it's the one of the best offenses on paper. Justin Herbert's doing his thing. He's one of the young quarterbacks in the league. I hope he goes a long way. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for the Chargers a little bit, but Mahomes, he shows why he's Mahomes, why he has a Super Bowl ring. So when it
did
comes
you
to
see
this,
he had another one of those little threaded passes?
oh
He was
yeah,
kind of
that
going
was
off the side and right through. You gotta
he,
love that.
he's clutch when it matters. That's the thing.
Hmm.
So I believe their next matchup is Week 11. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited. Um, I mean, both teams it's the offense that we come to watch. The defense isn't doing anything spectacular. It's a shootout, and the offense
Yeah.
is what everyone's coming to watch. But I'm excited for the next matchup. Honestly,
Yeah, Chargers have a couple good guys on defense. They got that Joey Bosa, Derwin James, which really, work together well, and a few other names. I'd say probably the only thing I worry about with the Chargers is you remember the Philip Rivers era, as well as even Drew Brees before he went to the Saints, and they had some really good teams, but
yeah.
get the playoffs and just blow it. And I worry that Herbert's future might be the same. Again, it's still too early to
A
tell,
lot of that has to do with
but
coaching, though.
yes, it absolutely does.
So we'll see.
So. Yeah, we'll see. But next game on the list, no, not of anybody who I really know is a big fan of these, but a little bit of an interesting game here as the New York Jets scored 2 touchdowns in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter to beat the Cleveland Browns in their own stadium. Joe Flacco tossed 4 touchdowns, two to Garrett Wilson. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had no idea who the heck Garrett Wilson was. I see that he was the 10th overall pick out of Ohio State. Didn't know that. I haven't followed college in a while, but who knows? Maybe some hopes for the Jets.
Yeah, I
And
know.
Nick Chubb scored 3 rushing touchdowns as he continues a good start to the season.
Yeah, I mean everybody's been waiting for him to blow up. Like last year, he had a good year. Like he's had a couple, like 2 good years last couple years, but people have been waiting for him to shine, and I
Mm.
think this is going to be the year. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I know not a lot of people cared about this game. I really didn't give a shit about this game, but I mean, I still think it's interesting. Last 2 minutes, Joe Flacco, was Joe Flacco.
Shane Falco.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not going to spoil it then if you don't know. If you
Sure.
don't know what the movie is.
That's Keanu Reeves. That's the replacement.
There you go. There you
Yeah, I
go.
knew that. Come on, that movie's not a thing.
All right. Next game on the list, I guess depending on where you live, might be another one you may or may not have really cared much about. The Detroit Lions hold off a late comeback attempt against the Washington, whatever the heck their name is. I'm pretty sure it's the Commandos at this
Commandos.
point.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz throws for, there you go. Carson Wentz throws for 3 more touchdowns. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has another good game. He had 9 catches for 116 yards and 2 TDs. He also rushed for 68 yards. I hear some people say that St. Brown is legit.
He's a beast. Let me tell you, especially when you're going up against him in fantasy. He's a fucking beast. Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel like that happened to you this past week.
Oh yeah. I mean, at least that game I won. I mean, the one against Craig didn't go so well. When he has 4 of his players score 40 points or more, 2 of them over 50.
True.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was interesting. I actually watched this game. Here in Western Maryland, it was either this or what was the other game on? Miami and Baltimore game. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of watching Baltimore. I think they're boring. I've always thought that they were boring to watch. So my wife is a Commanders fan. So first half they looked like dog shit. I'm not gonna lie, the Commanders looked awful.
Yeah, Detroit was up, what, 22-0?
Yeah, they were stomping the shit out of them. Like, it was bad. And so all those stats that Carson Wentz had, it's all garbage points, garbage yards, all that. I mean,
True.
you can't win games in the second half. You got to play.
Mhm.
You got to play 4 quarters, 60 minutes, whatever. Yeah, 60 minutes, not 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, Wentz is I mean his from a stat line perspective, he's looked not too bad so far this year, but you're right, you got to have it throughout the whole game. You can't get down by 3+ touchdowns and expect to still be able to come back and win it. It happens, as we'll talk about here in a moment, but
yeah, I
it's not a
mean,
very common thing
I
in
think
professional sports.
week one, Wentz was more like he didn't have that many yards. I don't believe. But it's just like he couldn't connect to his receivers in the first week. This week, I mean, he was at least finally Dotson is stepping up. People have been waiting for
Uh-huh.
him for I don't know how many years to step up. He's been in the league 4 or 5 years, 3, at least 4
I
years.
think he's been in. You're talking about Josh Doxson?
Dotson, yeah,
Yeah, he's been in for a while.
yeah, and
I
people
think.
like he was pretty high pick, and people have been waiting for him to really really shine, and he hasn't yet. But so far this year, I mean, he's looked pretty good, especially in the end zone. Like he's making some pretty wild catches. So we'll see.
He brings some of their old guys back. Who is Santana Moss.
Santana
You can bring
Moss.
him back.
Oh, shit.
Santana Moss. Go back even further, bring back Art Monk. Those are the good old days.
Yeah, this is shit about that. I just named it.
Yeah. So the next game is one that I'll agree with you. I probably wouldn't care too much about, but ended up being a spicy little game.
That was a fucking
Uh,
shootout.
Miami Dolphins outscored the Baltimore Ravens 28-3 in the fourth quarter for the win. Tua, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, throws for 6 touchdowns. 2 to Tyreek Hill, 2 to Jalen Waddle. Has he silenced some of his critics?
This is only week 2. He looked all right in week 1. Like they beat the Pats last week, but it's the Pats. The Pats aren't really that team anymore.
Or not who they were, yeah.
But I mean, it's still a win. Coming up against Ravens, they're not easy either. And coming back. Was that fourth quarter? It was 28-3.
Yeah, it was in the fourth quarter. No, they outscored the Ravens 28-3
Yeah, I mean,
in the fourth quarter to
as far
win.
as fantasy goes, if you guys own a Miami receiver,
Jalen Waddle.
yeah, same here. I own him too. Yeah, those were some nice points.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching Miami. Miami's a fun team to watch. when Tua's on. But the problem is he's too inconsistent.
Mhm.
We'll see how he does going forward, but I don't know. It's left hand, left hand.
Well, it's that, and I mean, once again, I haven't really followed college football in quite some time. Probably the last time I really followed college football was when Florida State won the national championship with Jameis Winston. So that was a while ago. But I've seen a lot of videos about Tua and his mechanics, and it's
Yeah.
like, how is that something that didn't get fixed throughout these years?
Well, I mean, they said the same thing about Tebow too. Except Tebow only lasted a couple years.
Yeah. Well, they said Tebow coming in. They said before he even got drafted that he would never be a quarterback, or
Yeah,
not.
like,
He was more of a tight end.
they were trying to fix his mechanics, and he was just too like. It's hard to fix mechanics when you have that muscle memory set in your head, and that's all you know. You know.
True. Yeah, you got to blame those coaches from whenever they were younger. Didn't really help them develop. It was probably something that maybe he just cared more about their talent.
Oh yeah.
You know. Lamar Jackson looked pretty good again. For the most part, up and down. I know we talked last week, and we'll probably continue to talk about his contract issues and what's going to happen with him.
And nothing's gonna happen until the end of the year. So.
No, and then we'll kind of go from there. And you know how that is in the NFL. Every year, someone's changing, especially big name guys, just constantly changing. That's crazy.
He probably won't be in Baltimore.
You don't think so?
I mean, they're not gonna want to guarantee him that money. What if he goes and gets his taint massaged? I mean,
True.
you guys look stupid.
True.
So,
True. And then I think there's always that fear of those mobile quarterbacks.
yeah.
There's a big difference between someone like Aaron Rodgers, who's mobile, Pat Mahomes, who's mobile. They're mobile, but they're not running quarterbacks. Whereas Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback who can throw.
I don't know when the last running, like, I'm not talking about somebody who can scramble. Like Josh Allen can scramble. Back in the day, like John Elway can scramble. Those kind of guys, like, they can be successful. Even like my man Warren Moon.
Yeah.
He could scramble, but dude could pass. Like he had a fucking arm. But guys like Lamar Jackson, I say, is like on the same level with Michael Vick when it comes to talent. I think Michael Vick is a great quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. He's got an arm. It's just like we've already been proven with Cam Newton. Look at Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Like, he could have had a really great long career had he stopped trying to run all the time and get hurt.
True. So. Yeah, well, and we talked about it the one episode there a couple weeks ago. I feel like in today's NFL, I think Michael Vick would have shined with the RPO. I think that would have been, and you put a good team around him, Michael Vick would have had a couple Super Bowls, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. So before we move on to the next game, a funny little stat line that I saw. It's only week 2, but it is kind of funny. Did you see who the top 3 passers were as of Sunday night? It kind of changed a little bit last night. As of Sunday night, the top 3 passers.
Josh Allen's got to be one of them.
He is now. He wasn't.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, he had to have his time, but yeah, it's got to be Josh Allen. Don't say Jalen Hurts. No. Okay. That's a tough one. I honestly don't know.
Well, I'll let you know. I gave you a little hint. It was the 3 games we just covered. Number 1, as of Sunday night, was Tua with 739 yards and 7 touchdowns. Number 2 was Carson Wentz with 650 yards and 7 touchdowns. And number 3 was Joe Flacco with 613 yards and 5 touchdowns. Josh Allen passed him and beat him by 1 yard last night after their win. So Josh Allen would be in third as of week 2 with 614 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Let me ask you a question. How many interceptions does Wentz have?
That I didn't see. I was just trying to be positive. Probably a few of them.
Yeah, I'm not high
but
on
I saw this stat line. I was like, wow. I mean, it's only week 2, so it was funny, but still.
That's actually pretty fucking insane. Tua is, I mean, the other 2 have been around for a while. Joe Flacco forever, but that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say
No way.
Daniel Jones. I swear to God.
Oh, hell no. I don't even think he's anywhere close.
Oh,
All right. Next game on the list. Another game that was kind of quiet. The
yeah,
Bucks beat the Saints, and somewhat of a boring game for the first time with Tom Brady at the helm. It was a low-scoring game. It was 3-3 going into the fourth quarter.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was not interested in this game at all. Normally it would have been. I mean, especially if you would have done this, you know, even a year ago. Well, I don't know because Saints weren't all that great last year. But if you had Brady on there like 4 years ago when Breeze was on there, man,
That
this
would
is
have been
a
a good
prime
matchup.
time game. But yeah, Brady's not throwing like Brady. I mean, it may just give him time to warm up, or it could be whatever the hell's going on at home. But
Yeah.
sorry for fantasy owners if you own Tom Brady like I do. Or
Yeah, I don't know that I would have. I don't think I would have drafted Tom Brady this year.
well, I got him late. I wanted to get a quarterback late. I thought I was going to get somebody else, but I'm stuck with Tom Brady. So it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
he's got some of the most amazing weapons down there. I don't see why he wouldn't.
True. I mean, I've heard the whole thing about his wife wanting him to retire. She was not happy that he's still playing. But I don't know. I've seen some pictures of him recently. He does not look healthy.
Yeah, I know his workout routine is pretty fucking insane. I think he's just really skinny, and at 43, it's kind of hard to keep that muscle mass on.
Absolutely.
Probably with whatever kind of diet he's on. I mean, he's like Mr. Model Tom Brady also, and
True.
he probably is on like a weird fucking diet, not eating meat or whatever. I don't know, but he
Yeah,
definitely
we'll
needs to
see.
pack some muscle on.
Well, and we'll see what happens. I don't believe that the NFL is fixed by any means, but I don't necessarily think that Brady will go out with a Super Bowl, but he's going to at least go out competitively. He's
Yeah,
not going to go out on a losing team.
I mean,
If that were to happen after all these years, I mean, you and I have both agreed that even though we're not Brady fans, the GOAT, you know.
he's already proven
Um,
everything to
I
his
just,
credits. I mean, he
yeah.
owns almost every fucking passing record. He has the most Super Bowl wins of any any starting quarterback. Um, and everyone was like, oh, he's a product of the Patriots, product of Belichick. Well, I mean, he went to Tampa Bay. He did that for a reason, that he
Uh-huh.
could prove that he can do it without them. And he did. So he has
Yeah.
nothing left to prove. Nothing.
No. No, so I don't see him being around much longer, but I definitely don't see him going out on a losing or even mid-tier season. It'll be a season where they make the playoffs and then losing a tough game and then he'll go out. Who knows? It could be this year, could be next. I think his last conversation he had was something about he'd like to go till at least 45. So we'll see. Yeah.
He wants to be the new
Uh,
NFL version of Iron Man.
yeah. Um, the New York Football Giants have their first 2-0 start since 2016. Unfortunately, in a game that consisted of mostly field goals. The Giants had 4, whereas the Panthers only had 3, and then each team scored a touchdown. Not much offense in the game. McCaffrey did rush for over 100 yards. Outside of that, it was pretty quiet.
Don't get too excited, all right?
Hey, listen, I'm not.
Listen,
I'm not.
I would ride the wave. If I was a Giants fan, I would ride the 2-0 wave. You guys have the best record in the NFC. Or no, you're tied with Eagles.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, it's 2-0. You could have easily. I mean, all right. You guys did beat the Titans. I'll give you that.
Mhm.
But, I mean, we just saw what happened to the Titans last night.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Panthers, you guys could have easily lost to them too, especially on paper when your guys' team doesn't look very good. But,
Mhm.
Daniel Jones is not, great. He's not going to be the deciding factor of the game. But, I mean, I don't know how many passing yards he has, but that doesn't really matter. He's got 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. So in 2 games, he only has 1 interception. Not bad. You're not giving up the ball. Like, good for you. Saquon Barkley looks healthy. Finally.
Mhm.
Doing his thing. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Like, I don't hate the guy. I hope he
Yeah.
does well, so keep fingers crossed. But I think a lot of it has to do with your defense. In 2 games, I mean, 3 sacks, like that's kind of average, mediocre, but in 2 games, you guys have the Giants have 4 forced fumbles. Which I mean that's pretty good. So not I mean they're not going to be talking about the Giants and their forced fumbles and their defenses winning them games and stuff like that because it's 2-0. It's the Giants.
Still
If they
too
go on a
early.
6-game winning streak, they're going to start getting talked
Yeah.
about. But as of right now, it's just like, defense is solid. Like they're keeping the offense in the game, and offense is doing just enough to win. So.
Yeah, and I mean, as a Giants fan or just a football fan in general, we know defense wins championships.
Right.
You can have that high flying offense, and sure, you can occasionally win, but defense wins championships. And the Giants of old, and I miss their defense. They haven't had a good pass rush in years.
Right.
I miss that good pass rush. I miss the good defense with a strong running game and a quarterback, whether it's Eli, going back before him, Kerry Collins,
Yeah.
years ago, Phil Simms, whoever it is, those game managers just to help them win. I'm hoping that this is the start. I don't know if Daniel Jones is that path. I've shared multiple times. I'm not a fan of the Daniel Jones pick, but I don't necessarily blame him because I agree that we've had inconsistent coaching since Tom Coughlin left.
Facts.
I think it's going to be a while, and I don't trust me. I don't get excited over the 2-0 start. I've been a Giants fan since the early '90s, and I remember the one year we were. I can't remember what season it was. We started off 3-0, and everyone was like super excited, and the Giants finished that season 4-12.
I remember that.
That was. I can't remember what year that was, but that was a rough season. So trust me, I'm not excited, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Saquon can keep it going.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit of another low scoring affair. 17-14 Patriots over the Steelers. The only real interesting thing is this is the first matchup between the Patriots and Steelers that neither Tom Brady nor Ben Roethlisberger were on the roster since 2004 when Big Ben was a rookie. Yeah.
Well, leave it. It's time to start over. Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
New England. It's time to start over. Mitch Trubisky is not your future. Mac Jones is not your future. So if you guys were smart, you start at the base. You start at in the trenches. Whenever you're building a team, you start in the trenches, and that's the line. Number one, offensive line for both these teams. I don't have shit to say about this game because it sucked and they're both horrible. But Steelers need to start on the offensive line. You get a couple guys in there, and you get them going for a couple years because there's very few that can come out in their first year and you're the starting left tackle and you're the best tackle in the league or you're one of the top tackles. Don't worry about that. Very few do. Get them a couple years to get set in, and then start working on your defense. Start building that defense in. Because your offensive line, they ain't going nowhere. Like, your flashy stud guys, like, your running backs, your wide receivers, they're the ones that are going to be moving after contracts end. But it's those core guys, like your offensive line, some of your defensive guys, that your quarterback, they stick around. So, after the offensive line, work on the defense. Once you get that defensive line solidified, the linebackers, maybe a couple secondary pieces, then you start working on your weapons around you. Bring in maybe one veteran, draft rookie, someone that they can learn from. Then, in my honest opinion, I think that is when you get your quarterback. After everything else is there, you get your quarterback. Because if you're a team where you don't have a veteran quarterback that they can learn from, the best thing for them is to have everything else already there in place. Then you bring your quarterback in, and that's the best chance for them to succeed. There's no one to learn from. So
Patriots Steelers, I mean, where do you put them like in their division? You're saying horrible, like last place
I
in their
mean,
division?
let's be honest. I think Jets are still going to end up in last place in the AFC East.
Okay.
Because the Bills and Dolphins are just too good. Steelers, I think they'll end up coming. See, I don't know, man. That's tough. Because once Deshaun Watson gets back, we'll see how he plays. I mean, he may be a stud when he gets back. He may not. I mean, it's going to be a toss-up between Pittsburgh and Cleveland for last pick.
And I'm not going to disagree, just because I don't really know much about either team's roster, and I've slowly been getting back into football this year. Well, but that's my thing, is they've lost everyone except for their coaching staff. I mean, Steelers and Patriots, I mean, not much has changed there over the years. And so that would be my only reason that I would hesitate, even though they don't have those core guys, those starting QBs and some of those core other roster guys. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to like win their divisions miraculously, but I would say, if I had to guess, I'd say middle of the pack. Like, they're coming to the end of the season, I would say they're in the hunt, both teams.
You think?
Just because of the history, you still got Bill Belichick. Whether you think he's a good coach or not, you still got Mike Tomlin. A lot of people argue that Bill Cowher built that team, and all he's had to do is just fill in the pieces as they fall out.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Cowher
but he's been there for how long?
Early 2000s.
And he's kept it going, right? So that's what I'm saying. You still got that same coaching for them. I mean, you still got the same head coaches and a lot of the same core pieces. That's why, for me, as we said before, in some of the other games or some of these other teams, it's all about the coaching. I'd say at the end of the season, they're going to be in the hunt. They may or may not make the playoffs, but I think they'll be there still.
We'll see.
All right. Next one. AFC South seems to be in shambles. We might want to, but
Jaguars have the best record at 1-1.
Yeah, they skunked the Colts. Star running back Jonathan Taylor only rushed for 54 yards on the ground and had one catch for 9 yards.
How's everybody feel
once again,
with that being your number one pick in the draft?
Well, and that was going to be my question. Do you think that fantasy owners, because Jonathan Taylor's been kind of the premier number one overall pick, do you think he's got some people sweating? He had a good week one, but does he get a pass for only one bad game? We'll see.
How's it feel, Jonathan Taylor owners? I want to know. Put it in the comments. I want to know how the fuck you feel. Why I'm glad I didn't get the number one pick. I wouldn't have picked him anyway.
I don't think. I mean, once I didn't follow football in 2020. I watched the Super Bowl and that was it. Last year, I watched a little bit of regular season, but I really did watch the playoffs because the playoffs that was one of the best playoffs I've ever seen. So I don't know much about Jonathan Taylor, but when I look at his stat line, I mean, he's not only had just one good year, but he's had 2 good years. So third year, I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
Well, when you bring Matt Ryan in, you're asking
that was sad.
Well, you're asking for more passing because Matt Ryan is a slinger. You know,
Matty Ice.
I mean, he has the most. Actually, I saw this on TikTok. Like, Matt Ryan has since 2012 among starting quarterback or among active quarterbacks, he has the most completions. So, I mean, Atlanta was a passing team. So you asking, are you bringing him in? You're looking for a passing team when you were already established as a rushing team with Jonathan Taylor, and then you have was it Hines behind him? Who, I mean, he's not bad, but
Hines
1-2 punch, but
yeah, he's a good spellback.
I get it. Like, Colts, you have one good option to throw to, and Pittman, but other than outside of that, it's mediocre. So I mean, that's probably why Taylor's stats are on that, and they just can't fucking score.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch to see what goes on there. Matt Ryan, I thought he was going to be a long-time Falcon. I mean, because he was. I'll tell you what, Matt Ryan with the Atlanta Falcons at home. Remember those years they were competitive? They didn't lose.
No, they didn't.
They did not lose at home. Speaking of the Falcons, Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams hold off a late comeback attempt by the Atlanta Falcons. Cooper Kupp, another great game. But the confusion that head coach Sean McVay is causing in that backfield. Who's your starter? Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson had a touchdown, but Cam Akers out-touched Henderson after a crappy week 1 performance.
Here's one. I think this is the way it's going to go. Whoever McVay decides is going to be the starting running back, because before week 1,
like he's flipping a coin.
Well, before week 1, if you go and check on ESPN or any other site, listed Akers as starter, number one. Right before week 2, you look and it's Darrell Henderson. So McVay made that change after 1 week. You give the man 1 week and you're making Henderson the starter already? What's up? So I think moving forward, whoever is listed as number 1 on the depth chart,
with the other person.
Start the other person. That's going to be who gets you the points, if any at all. I mean, Rams aren't the same Rams they were last year. They're missing Odell.
True. Odell, Von Miller.
Yeah, Von Miller was huge.
I mean, do you think that the Super Bowl champions are going to fall that far, though? Really?
Second place. The Bengals.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've seen that before. We've seen the teams that lost the Super Bowl the year before not have such a great the next. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen a Super Bowl. I'd have to look back. I don't know that I've seen a Super Bowl champion just kind of fall off.
Last year, Matt Stafford.
And the problem is they won.
Yeah. Well, I think the issue is Matt Stafford had a lot to play for last year. He had one thing in mind going to the Rams, and that was getting that Super Bowl ring before he retires. It's not going to be much longer before he's gone.
Sure.
But he's back to Matt Stafford. Last year he was Matt Stafford. This year he's Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
I was respecting.
Yeah, we'll see.
He was slinging for the longest time, but
yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that backfield. I never understood that. It sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but I mean, we all know, once again, going back to some of the previous games, Bill Belichick did that with his backfields for years and still won. I don't know how you make it work, but I've always been a fan of feature running backs, but hey, that's just me. Jimmy G gets his shot and leads the Niners to victory. After we just got done talking about Trey Lance on Saturday. Trey Lance exits early in the game on a season-ending injury.
This is fucking karma. Is what it is. This is karma to the 49ers when Trey Lance was, hurt most of last year? And because he looks decent in training camp and preseason, he's your starter? No. Jimmy G did enough to make the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think Trey Lance is ready? Nothing. Instead, you try to find a trade partner. Guess what? Nobody fucking wanted him. So, hey Jimmy, we'll just pay you this to ride the bench, and in case something happens. But you're just gonna be a bench player.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy G. Yeah, I mean, I like the formula that the Packers did when Brett Favre was around. Of course, granted, he was trolling everybody with his freaking retirements. But Aaron Rodgers sat the bench for 2-3 seasons, and I mean, I don't know. I credit to that riding the bench behind a Hall of Famer. I mean, not that Jimmy G's by any means a Hall of Famer, but what's your hurry? Let Trey Lance sit there. Let him sit there. Let him learn. And when he gets out there, all his nerves are gone.
Remember who Tom Brady sat behind?
Yeah, Drew Bledsoe. Of course, Tom Brady was also a 6th-round draft pick. I don't think they ever expected anything from him.
7th round. No, but I mean, yeah, they didn't expect anything from him, but that's how it used to be. Up until, I guess, around the mid-2000s or somewhere in the 2010s, they decided, oh no, these rookie quarterbacks are ready. That's why most of them don't fucking last in the NFL. Because they're not ready.
No,
they
it happens too often.
I don't care if you have a shit quarterback. If he's been in the league 5 years or more, he has some type of experience. Let the quarterback sit behind him. Just because he sucks,
let him learn.
Just because he sucks doesn't mean your backup rookie is ready. Period.
Yeah.
You might actually hurt his development.
Absolutely. Look at Ryan Fitzpatrick as a perfect example. This guy has started on damn near every single team in the NFL.
My man, Fitzpatrick.
And I mean, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Probably not. No. I don't know where he's at in the stats. Obviously, he's not a game. I mean, he hasn't won playoff games, but he's had some really good games, and he's shown that he can get it done. But it is. That's not those lazy. He likes the warm weather.
Who did he get drafted to?
Hell if I know. He's played on at least 7 teams, I think.
Was it Cincy?
You could say a team, and I wouldn't even know. I don't even know every team he's been on, to be
I
honest.
know he played for Cincinnati at one point. I think they drafted him. But I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could have said the same thing. Well, no, not Jamarcus. He was fucking bad.
I don't think he ever did anything.
I mean, you could have said the same thing about Vince Young. Vince Young was
He had a
talented,
year or two.
but he was talented as fuck.
hmm
I think if he would have sat behind someone, he would have had a better shot, better chance. They just
Maybe he wouldn't have went
didn't
crazy.
show that they believed in him at all.
No, he had a good rookie season, and I think his second year he did okay. But other than that, I don't think Young did much.
The Rams drafted Fitzpatrick? I don't even remember him playing for the Rams.
He may never played. He might have set the bench.
He played for Harvard.
Did he?
The first quarterback to have over 1,000 yards rushing.
Huh.
Selected
No, it's
in
college.
the 7th round.
Wow.
Too bad he didn't have a Tom Brady career.
Yeah. Dallas Cowboys stunned last year's AFC champs with a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush. I got to give credit where credit's due. You see what I'm wearing. Everybody who knows me, I hate the Dallas Cowboys, but they stuck with their backup quarterback, and they won. It was a close game, but they won.
Somebody's trying to steal a job.
Maybe.
I mean, look, nobody's saying, "Oh yeah, Cooper Rush, he's our next quarterback, America's team." No, nobody's fucking saying that. It's Cooper Rush. You beat the
Yeah.
Bengals, who are struggling right now. All right, it's not that big of a deal. And who they beat last week? The Bucks. Did
No, they
win
lost to the
No,
Bucks.
they lost last
They
week.
lost
Okay,
to the
yeah,
Bucks.
so
They got
anyway.
they was the opposite. They got their butts kicked. It was
Yeah.
like 19-3, 20-3, or 27-3, something like that. They didn't do much
So
last
1-1.
week.
Cooper
Yeah.
Rush is not your answer. Don't ride that train. I don't even know if Dak Prescott's your answer, but at least he's better than Rush. But I just think they have extremely poor coaching in Dallas.
And I've said it for years, and I'm not upset by it by any means. I don't see. I mean, I guess you don't hear about him as much, but I don't see the Dallas Cowboys ever winning anything big until Jerry Jones is gone.
I don't think it's Jerry Jones that's the problem. I think
it used to be.
You bring in a disgruntled ex-Packers coach, Mike McCarthy, who, him and Aaron Rodgers didn't get along all that well in Green Bay, so they decided to get rid of you instead of Rodgers. He had it in Green Bay. Now he doesn't. Dallas, no, that's not your answer. Get him out.
Yeah, I don't think
Burrow,
he'll be there long.
That poor dude, man. I mean, here's what I'm going to say. They spent a lot of money on the offensive line. They're calling it growing pains. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's just going to take time for them to get, the swing of things. But Joe Burrow is running for his life right now. And he ain't Mr. Cool like he was last year. So
Yeah, he was riding that train. And, like we said with the other games, it's only week 2. I think they'll be fine. But at the same time, as we just mentioned, it has happened before where you're the team that lost the Super Bowl comes back next season and doesn't even make the playoffs. It's happened so many times. I mean, you got a lot of core pieces there with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, a decent running game, and not a bad defense. I mean, the defense is all right.
Yeah, they just need to figure that offensive line needs to figure it out.
Yeah, because he was, if I remember correctly, Joe Burrow was under a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, I mean he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
He couldn't even really get the ball to Jamar Chase.
3 of the best, the best receiving core you can have.
Oh, that's right. And they got that. I keep forgetting about that T. Higgins kid as well, who did end up having a touchdown, I believe, because Jamar Chase really didn't do much. Yeah. So, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I know I don't have much to say on this one. I know somebody in here may, but Russell Wilson gets his first victory as a Denver Bronco.
That's right. Listen,
and that's literally all I have to say about it.
I'm not excited about this team right now. Like I was before the season because we have some good pieces. But for some reason the offense is not clicking at all. Yeah, we won, but it was boring.
Look who you won against.
Well, yeah, it's Houston. But I mean, last week we couldn't even beat, the the two guys that we traded beat us. So um, yeah, like Russell. I think the first game it was just bad coaching, bad decision making. The end of the game, and then this game it was just like the offense wasn't clicking. Like we could score so many more points. We have a decent tight end who's young. I mean, our
Hmm.
whole entire team is young. Like our
Yeah.
receiving core is like 25 and under. But they maybe we are missing that one piece, that one who tore his ACL in preseason, Tim Patrick. He's been on the team for a few years. Last year he just like
Yeah.
kind of broke out. But where has Sutton been? Sutton's like no show. Um,
Didn't Sutton have like a really good game?
did he?
Yeah, I'm because I have him on my fantasy team. Hold on.
No, maybe it was
Oh, my
Judy.
Wi-Fi's on. Yeah, it was Judy. Judy went out. I think he got hurt though. He
Yeah,
was
Judy.
questionable.
He did, but the thing is, um, like in week one, he's not catching the ball. It's like shit that's hitting him right in the chest. He's not catching it. KJ Hamler, he's like one of our deep threats because of his speed. We're not really doing anything with him. Defense is just all right. I mean, we're stopping the pass. That's one thing that we can do. We have a really good pass defense, but teams can run all over us. Like last
Sure.
week, Seattle ran all over us. I mean, maybe they'll get the offensive situation figured out and it'll click. But as of right now, I'm just not excited about it.
Yeah, so I'd say like so many teams are just still rebuilding.
Coaching, like
Yeah.
that. I don't know where the fuck they got this guy from, but he needs to go because he's.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that one on. Or no, we just talked about it. That's right. I'm sitting here. I'm forgetting where I'm at. It's been a long week. We talked about that one on Saturday. Yeah, week one. um, Las Vegas Raiders blow a 20-point lead and lose in overtime to the Arizona Cardinals on a fumble recovery that was returned for a touchdown.
I know.
What a way to lose.
Dear friend, was at that football game in Vegas. Ryan Fouts, who's a Raiders fan.
Ooh.
How'd that feel, buddy?
Oh,
Looking at you. I feel bad.
probably
I'm sorry.
at home, up 20-0, and lose in overtime. And the way they lost, a fumble recovery return for a touchdown. That's rough. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Gotta love it.
You look like you were having fun though, bud. Hopefully you got maybe a little drink on or something. I don't know. That's definitely what I would have done, there, especially in the fourth quarter. But I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this game though. They're just two mediocre teams right now. I mean, Oakland definitely is a lot better than that on paper.
Flashy offenses.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But other than that, I don't think there's anything there. Sunday Night Football, Green Bay dominated Chicago in a game where both teams actually ran the ball pretty well. Devin Montgomery and Aaron Jones both rushed for over 100 yards. But the Packers just dominated for the most part.
Aaron Jones, monster.
Uh,
I mean, I know I played against him. Fuck. But anyway, no, Green Bay finally figured it out. They own Chicago. They really do. So there's not a whole lot to say. I'm still not going to say, hop on that Packers train. They're back. No.
Yeah, we'll see in those tough games because he's still establishing a receiving core. I see that. I just noticed they got Randall Cobb back.
Yeah, he's.
I think he was there last year, but I didn't even realize it.
He was, but he's not. I mean, he's old. All right.
Yeah.
And they're banking on Lazard being their number one, and any other team Lazard is number 3 receiver. He's not that good. I mean, this is just rebuilding time and waiting.
The problem is
Rodgers to retire.
Well, that's the question: is they're rebuilding? Are they rebuilding with Aaron Rodgers, or are they looking for the future? Jordan Love apparently that's his name, right? Jordan Love, their backup, apparently isn't the answer.
No, he's not.
So yeah, how long is Aaron Rodgers gonna? Because we thought there might, there was talks last season that Aaron Rodgers might not be a Packer for much longer, but
I mean,
he's still here.
He's not sticking around to help the team. I can tell you that. He's a selfish son of a bitch. He's a dick. He's a motherfucker. But he's not sticking around to help the team. It's for his own selfish reasons, whatever they may be, that he's sticking with the team. Maybe it's because they got rid of McCarthy. I don't know. But
Maybe.
um, if he stays there, it's because he wants to be there.
Hmm.
He's not gonna help them and stick around and wait for them to find the next quarterback. He's gone. He don't.
True.
He's a but he's loving life because whatever the fuck that shit he's taking.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
All right. Probably one of the most surprising games. Well, I mean, I guess after week one, it wasn't too surprising, but Buffalo continues to dominate in a blowout win over Tennessee. Josh Allen continues to shine as he throws for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns, 3 to his veteran receiver, Stephon Diggs, who finished with 12 receptions for 148 yards. Not only did the Titans have trouble stopping the Bills, they couldn't do much on offense either. And then 4 turnovers did not help.
Yeah, I tried to take
That was
up
just
as
an ugly
much
game.
for the Titans as I could. Because our buddy Beefy's a Titans fan, so nope. But
Love you, buddy.
I will give it to them. The defense tried to hang on at the beginning. The first 2 quarters they tried to hang on, but the problem is the offense could not get anything going. They're giving the ball up. They just can't get shit going. So that defense was on the field for most of the game, and by coming out at halftime, they're gassed. They're done. They're already done. I saw a fucking hilarious TikTok. This guy does NFL therapy, and different teams that had bad weeks or bad 2 weeks comes in and they talk to him, and all you see is a guy, the guy wearing a Tennessee jersey, and he's just wrapped up in like head bandages and shit, and is like, how you doing, buddy? And he's like, I'll give you an A for effort on that one. He's like, but with the head bandages all over the place, and he just can't talk. That's how bad it was. I mean, that was a tough fucking game to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I was like kind of paying attention to it because like after halftime, it was kind of like this is over, and I was doing something else on my computer. But every time I would look up at my screen, it was a replay of another touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? I was excited about this game because I thought it was gonna be close.
Yeah, it should have been a good game, but Derrick Henry still struggled to really get it going yet this year. I mean, defenses are keying on him. I'm not saying that Tannehill's bad. I saw some stuff that, Tannehill's up there as far as wins. I mean, it's not, once again, it's only week 2, but after losing pretty bad against another good team, and I think if it wasn't for week 1's loss against a terrible New York Giants team, and they were up by 13-0. I think if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't be questioning the Titans as much right now.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll see.
I want to be excited for the Titans, but it's just go against Buffalo, man. We know Buffalo is. Everybody said it preseason. Number one, and the most important part is Super Bowl rings follow Von Miller wherever he goes. This man is in his 30s and still a fucking monster. But you also have one of the best offenses in the league. And you don't even need to have a great rushing game, just a good enough. Josh Allen is that fucking good. And I said it preseason that Justin Jefferson would be the number 1 wide receiver in the league, and Diggs would be the number 2 receiver in the league. As far as stats go, like, he's just the best route rusher. He's got one of the best set of hands. Catches everything. I mean, if they don't win a Super Bowl this year,
what the hell?
Somebody needs to be hung.
They would.
Whoever's fault it is needs to be hung.
I don't want to curse them, but unless they get on the injury train, I just don't see. They got too much. I mean, it's only week 2, but they look like they're clicking. Other than their punter situation, but it looks like they got somebody. So.
Still fuck
all right, and our last game, another blowout. Quarterback Jalen Hurts leads the Eagles to victory through the air and on the ground, with 3 touchdowns and over 350 yards of total offense. The Vikings struggled to move the ball on defense all evening, amassing less than 300 yards of total offense.
Kirk Cousins came back to reality. He had a good week 1. everybody was riding that train of, hey, he's coming for that MVP trophy. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
But they came back down to reality. This Eagles team though might be legit. I
Mhm.
know. I know our buddy Beefy, a little butthurt about AJ Brown. You know, we all know McDermott doesn't like AJ Brown. Fuck AJ Brown. He ain't number one receiver. Uh, you know, he's happy he's not there anymore. This and that. But in my personal opinion, I think AJ Brown is. I'm not saying he's top 5, but I mean he's definitely I think in the top 10, and he's proving it right now in Philly. I mean, he's doing his thing. But I mean, Jalen Hurts is doing enough. He's another one of those quarterbacks who's big into running. We'll see how far that gets him because he doesn't seem to be very careful either. He kind of puts his body in situations that he can get hurt very easily. So,
Yeah, I don't have
legit?
nothing against. Yeah, I don't have nothing against them. They'll more than likely win the division.
That's what I'm thinking.
Eagles usually have decent defense. Hurts, I mean, looking pretty good. The one that's kind of surprised me so far for the Eagles was Miles Sanders. He's done all right, and he's getting a lot of touches. A lot of people thought Miles Sanders was done just because the Eagles are another one of those teams that they like to use like 5 different running backs every game. So Miles Sanders has been getting the touches. We'll just see what he does with it.
I think he's on a mission. I think he is got something to prove because everywhere that you look online, fantasy wise, this and that, we're all saying that by week 4 or 5, Gainwell is going to be the primary back. And
yeah,
I mean, Miles Sanders has not done bad in his career. He's had some pretty decent years. Nothing flashy, nothing over the top, but like decent enough to keep starting or keep a job. So I think he's got the fruits on.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Eagles make the playoffs. Vikings. I mean, this year the NFC isn't the top dog. AFC is. Last year
more
the
likely
NFC was the top dog. They were the top teams. This year it's the AFC. So we'll see. Vikings may squeeze in just because the NFC is weak. So
yeah. So that does it for the slate of games of week 2. One last thing before we log off. Since ESPN took over Monday Night Football in 2006, the league has always scheduled 2 games during the first week of the NFL season. This year, that tradition continued, but on week 2, but this being the first time that the games really overlapped. With the Viking, and that's the thing is the Viking and Eagles game started about an hour afterwards. Do we think this was a good move, or will the NFL fans want the usual back-to-back game?
Back-to-back is better. I mean, I know it's middle of the week, but if you like football, you like football. You watch it.
Well, and that's the thing. Typically in the past, so I don't know. We'll see. Because I like to watch one game and then the other, but you got to figure that second game is usually a West Coast game. While it's starting 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, that's 10 o'clock Eastern. You're talking 1 o'clock, and for some people, that's awfully late. Some people might enjoy being able to watch both games and not feel like when they go to work in the morning, that they're like a zombie.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It could be interesting.
Hey, before we go though, I'm gonna give a big shout out. I don't know if this will ever make it to him or not, but hey, I've been following his podcast for a long time. I like the content that he puts out. I think the dude's a fucking nut, and love the shit that he puts out. But congrats to Pat McAfee for being nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a punter. I hope he makes it in as a punter. Or I don't know how many punters are in the Hall of Fame, but I think
I know many.
I saw his reaction on TikTok. I thought it was cool shit, so I want to do a little shout out to him. So, congrats, and I hope you get enough votes to make it in.
Absolutely. This is a new segment that we're doing. We hope to do it every week. On Tuesdays after that week's slate of games is over. Try to keep it short. I don't know how far we went. We try to keep it around 30 to 45 minutes. I think we might have went a little over, but hey, we'll We are an hour in. Well, we had to break a couple times, so we'll see. Catch us next week. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We'll still be doing our usual podcast on Saturday. We'll still talk sports. We'll jump into it a little bit, but yeah, hopefully you guys like this. And if you do, hit that like and subscribe button and give us some love.
Look for that video on Sunday. Podcast will be Saturday, but look for that video on Sunday, and we'll be back next Tuesday. So,
All right, everybody.
until then,
See ya.